Namaste and welcome. What I'm going to tell you today is basically about the 4 motivations of life. Okay, it's called Purushartha, and since it's been so long, I haven't spoken anything about the theory of yoga. I think it is very important and high time I address this topic. Purushartha basically is, any action done for existence. So what is the basic motivation for whatever thing we do, the way we think, the way we talk, the way we act. Okay. Now, we don't get a systematic training when we are born. We just randomly pick up the habits and we look at the lifestyle of our close ones, our family, our friends, our society, and we just pick up whatever suits our convenience. Okay. It all depends on each individual person's journey of the soul and their energy as to what are they vulnerable towards and what are they deeply interested in, or what are their aversions. I have to pause in between because this internet keeps dropping in between, so I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'm live and this internet keeps on disconnecting in between. Anyhow, I don't think I need to mention it again and again. You know it by now. Please try and. So there are 4 motivations of life. That is dharma. Is the first motivation. Dharma here means duty. Artha is the second motivation. Artha would be, now these are Sanskrit words, okay, these are not Hindi words. So Artha will be associated with, money or means to attain, whatever you need for your survival. That is Artha. And Kam, which is the third motivation. Now Kama is normally, its name is kind of spoiled, and people understand Kama as sensual pleasures, whereas Kama here would refer to any kind of action, any kind of karma that you do is related with some sort of pleasure to the mind. If you try to help the poor, if you try to help the needy, if you try to serve someone, you obviously seek some sort of pleasure out of it. So that is also a karma, that's kam. When you're cooking for your family, okay, when you are washing clothes, you need good and neat and tidy clothes. So every karma is associated with some sort of pleasure. So kam, the motivation, that's what it refers to. Any kind of action, any kind of karma is kam. And last one is moksha, that is relieving or freeing one's soul from the cycle of birth and death. So yeah, that's very deep and intense. So let us talk about the basic motivation that is dharma, duty. So duty, what is the definition of duty and who is to define the duty? Should I define duty? Am I eligible to define duty? If you read any books and you come across the definition of duty, would you say this is the fact? Okay, because every other book or text or spiritual text will have its own version or own definition of dharma. So how do we understand the meaning of dharma? Well, if you look at nature, how does nature operate? Nature operates on a continuous and regular basis. It doesn't stop. Like the sun has to rise at a particular time and it sets at a particular time. although it's a phenomena that we understand of rising and setting. Basically, it's the earth that's taking axis around the sun, and so the movement of the earth determines the sunrise and sunset, but it happens on its own schedule. We call it a day, right? Similarly, all the other things in nature that keeps nourishing us and keeps giving us constantly is working as per its schedule. It is only we humans who have a very evolved mind, and we think that we can live as per our whims and fancies, and we can choose and we have the right to decide how we can think, or we can talk, or we can act, and also try to manipulate its repercussions. Well, Karma Yoga theory is very, very simple. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, if they say you believe in abundance and you believe in law of attraction, and you say the best things will happen to me, yes, everything is possible. Mind is a very powerful tool. However, if you think that you are above nature, because what happens is when you start getting things, you start having this ego about it's mine, me, my, I. So if you think that you are allowed to abuse anything beyond a certain limit, that means if you need this much and you are using it this much, okay, for some time it may work for you, but it will exhaust very soon. Soon, when your good karmas get exhausted, all the resources that has been provided to you by nature will also get exhausted, because it's a simple phenomena that nature has everything for a man's need but not for its greed. So we should always try to conserve whatever we need to use, whether we are rich or we are poor, higher class or lower class or middle class, it does not matter. It is in our hands how we do our actions, how we act. So dharma is duty, where we realize the importance of discipline, that our body has a certain biological clock, and if we wake up early morning and do our necessary routine like doing our exercise, pranayam, meditation, and eat on time, sleep on time, okay, keep our body clean, keep our body more hydrated, and keep our mind more occupied with productive things, and keep thinking positive, keep serving and helping others who are in need. If we do all of that, we are in sync with the nature, we are following our duty, okay. So the pattern is very simple, that if one realizes the importance of its own life and realizes that time is not something that is in our hands, that we have in abundance, it is limited and we have to make the most of the time, then one can really do its duty accordingly, and save time, and be happy internally, because happiness is not what you seek outside. Happiness is not what you go to the Disneyland and attain for 1 hour or 5 hours or one particular day. Happiness is a continuous process, and it is a state of mind. Similarly, peace is a state of mind. Balance is also a state of mind. One can attain all of that if only follows duty as it's supposed to be, not as per one's likes and dislikes. You cannot practice dharma as per your own likes and dislikes. I like to do this, I don't like to do this. When it is about duty, there cannot be choice. It has, if it needs to be done, it has to be done. Simple. Okay, we cannot have a baby and decide that, okay, I'm not going to be awake at night, let the baby cry all night and learn on its own. Then why did you even think of planning to have a baby? Because you need to be prepared beforehand, that if you plan to produce something, or you want to buy a house and have a pet animal or a baby or a relationship, we need to be prepared that we need to nourish it, and it has certain demands and expectations that we need to try and fulfill. Of course, you can't do everything to please another person. You should not even try to do that. But what you can do is act as to the point of your own inner satisfaction. If you act to the point of your inner satisfaction, that means you are honest with your feelings, your emotions, and then you will find happiness accordingly. So that was the motivation of dharma. I'm going to speak about simple philosophy to understand that as I was explaining, the four motivation of life is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It's also called the aim or the goal of life. So basically, what is life without a purpose, right? Everyone who is zestful to live life and who respects life as it is knows that it needs to have a purpose. Okay, life without a purpose is nothing. So Purushartha. Purush is here the source of the universe, the soul of the universe, and Artha is basically the purpose. Okay, so Artha in Hindi literally it means the meaning. Okay, Artha means meaning. So what is the purpose of life? Now, when we talk about the second motivation, that is Artha, this means about the economic freedom, or having to do with your economic independence, or for security. Whatever work you do, it is basically to secure yourself, whether it is for your health, or buying a house, or having a bank balance. So now again, as I said yesterday, that if you compare the earlier times where people were very simple in their lifestyle, in their living, when we did not have internet, we did not have so much of variety on television, we did not have so much of media exposure, we did not have the world so small where we can get access to any part of the world in just a click, which we have today on the smartphone. So we have a lot of exposure of media in today's time, and the more we get to know, the more it kind of creates a lot of insecurity, and one also lives with strong faith. I'm not saying that everybody is very insecure, but it creates a lot of doubts and constant chaos and constant fluctuation in the mind, where mind is not steady and very distractive. So when the mind is very distracted, it cannot stay focused on its goal. It does not focus on the right motivation, what one is supposed to do. जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं, जाना था जापान पहुंच गए चीन। चाइना तो बिल्कुल मत जाना आज के डेट में, ठीक है? वैसे भी अभी चाइना के प्रोडक्ट्स बैन हो रहे हैं। सॉरी, आई एम टेकिंग इट टुवर्ड्स लिटिल ह्यूमर, बट what I'm trying to say is basically when we are headed to do something, there are so many distractions coming in between that we get easily swayed off, and we get influenced by so many other factors that entice us, and we forget what we were supposed to do. So the classic example is being glued on the smartphone and just going on scrolling without a purpose, and forgetting what is the priority that we need to do. So Artha basically was meant for economic freedom or economic security. That's the motivation. But then as the civilization grew, as the society grew, Artha, when does it actually cross the line of need to greed? We don't really come to know, because human wants are unlimited. It keeps asking again and again. Seldom do we practice contentment, which is one of the very important attribute mentioned in Ashtanga Yoga in the second step, that's niyamas, where after Shaucha, the first principle of niyam, second one is santosha, that's contentment, which is to be satisfied, not just satisfied but contented to be what we have in the present. So if we practice that, life is at peace, and wherever you're supposed to reach in whichever time, you will reach ultimately. You don't have to put any effort for that. So artha, basically, the motivation of artha is little, as I said, that when it changes from need to greed, one does not come to know. If you keep focusing on finance and money, there is no end to it. So I'm not the one to decide or to tell anyone that it is right motivation or wrong motivation, but to each its own. One has to decide on its own where to put a stop and how much to do and how to stay at peace with oneself and to be contented. You don't have to read several books to find peace. You just have to go within yourself and ask yourself, how much do we need, not want, how much do we need to be happy and peaceful in life? And the answer will be pretty evident and clear. Next motivation is calm, that is pleasure, or again, as I said yesterday, that it is not just sensual pleasures, it is pleasure of any sort or any kind of work or activity that you do and you try to derive pleasure out of it. That is the motivation of karma. And as you, if I don't know how many of you know about Abraham Maslow, he was one of the psychologists, and he wrote about his hierarchy of motivational needs. Okay, it's very famous work, hierarchy of needs. The very bottom talks about the physiological needs, which is food, shelter, and clothing. All this is very basic. He also includes, I think, am I silent? Okay. He also includes the biological needs, like the reproductive needs in the physiological aspect. Then second one, above physiological needs are the safety needs, where you talk about the sense of security in terms of health, in terms of kind of investment or house or property, etc. Then he talks about the love and belonging needs, having a family, intimacy, friendship, sense of connection with someone and stability in that. Then above that comes, after that is, I think, self-esteem needs, beyond love and belonging needs, where it is about some sort of recognition as to who you are, what you have achieved, the purpose, etc., etc. And then the last one talks about the self-actualization needs, where you reach to a limit which is beyond what you do on a day-to-day basis, and try to explore who you truly are and what you are. You surprise yourself. You are yet to discover some such mysterious truths of yourself. So why am I talking about this is basically Abraham Maslow was a modern day psychologist who talks about these needs. Now these are very selective needs. One can do without marriage and sex in today's time. You you see a lot of people who are single, and a lot of people who are divorced, who have broken families and are still living and thriving in life. So not everything as per what Abraham Maslow has mentioned in his hierarchy of needs, that the world or the society is functioning in that manner. So again, karma, that's pleasure, or that kind of motivation is temporary, because if you keep dwelling between pleasure and pain, because if you try to seek pleasure, you will also have to experience pain. These are dualities of life. You cannot choose only one thing, that I want day, I do not want night, I want good, I do not want bad, I want right, I do not want wrong. You have to take both. It's duality of life. If you are experiencing one phenomena, you have to experience its opposite phenomena as well. You have to be prepared. So that therefore, if you continue to work with the motivation of pleasure, it is going to cause pain, and you're going to keep swinging and dwelling between both throughout. So if you have to break the chain, what do you have to do? You have to focus simply on the karma. Do the karma for the sake of doing it, with the respect of doing the action, that we have been born and the work has to be done. So do the work. Don't put logic, don't put so much of meaning behind it. Don't be so cognitive about every work, that only when I get some sort of benefit out of this work will I do this. So it is always associated with some sort of greed. If I get this, I will do this. If I don't get this, I will not do it. So it disturbs your mind. It kind of brings more aggression, more anger, and that gives you negative reinforcement. It pulls you back. So again, mind control is in our hands. So instead of negatively reinforcing yourself, make sure you bring clarity. Try to empty your thoughts, and just clear your mind, and just think about the fact you are all alone in this world, and here you are thriving all by yourself for your life. And if you have to live life beautifully, you have to take charge, you have to take responsibility in your own hands. And if you enjoy simply the action at any present moment of time, be in the present, you can simply be happy and peaceful with yourself. You don't have to do a lot of fancy things. You don't have to go to Vipassana. You don't have to do a lot of fancy poses of yoga, or 8 hours and 10 hours of meditation. Your meditation is way of life. Meditation is a state of mind. So whatever action you're doing, and you seek happiness in the action during the process, in itself becomes meditation, because your mind, body, soul is all integrated during that particular time. And as I said, the last motivation is moksha, which is to free yourself, liberate yourself from the cycle of births and rebirths. So the only way to do that is try to renounce from all the fruits of your labor, and the lesser you expect, the more you are happy. Because as I keep saying, if you have to climb the Mount Everest, or you have to climb the mountain, you have to keep your baggage very light. The more you try to make it heavier, the more it will get difficult for you to climb up. So it's the same thing in life. If we have to rise above, we need to keep our baggage light, and we have to shed off all the unnecessarily desires and expectations and wants that we keep on piling up and keep troubling ourselves again, because when it's not fulfilled, it gives negative feedback, negative reinforcement to the mind, and that's how we are feeding our mind on a regular basis, that we are not keeping track of, we are not being aware of. So we need to become more sensitive and aware of